This video is not about the recent controversy surrounding NaNoWriMo. I had planned this video like 9 months ago before the whole controversy with the nano folks began. Obviously, it only makes sense to produce a video like this around the time that people are thinking about NaNoWriMo, so I had to wait to produce it. I don't know who this Al guy is, but he seems to be pissing a bunch of people off. But we're not talking about that today. Today, I want to talk about some of the downsides and upsides to doing a challenge like NaNoWriMo. This video is not meant to dissuade you from pursuing something like NaNoWriMo, but rather to set some expectations about what this challenge and other challenges like it will or will not do. What it will help you accomplish as a writer and what it won't help you accomplish. Then hopefully you can decide if something like this is aligned with your goals. A bit of background for those not familiar, NaNoWriMo is an annual challenge wherein the participant attempts to write a 50,000 word novel in 30 days. Usually the challenge is held in November, except for Canada, where I've heard they usually hold it in October for some reason. There's some other rules and stuff associated with it, which I couldn't be bothered to look up, but the main thrust of the challenge is 50,000 words in 30 days. Now, this is a quite challenging thing to do. It requires you writing around 16 to 1700 words every single day for an entire month. The idea of the challenge is to get you past self-doubt and past procrastination and finally write that novel you've always dreamed of writing. You can buckle down, grasp your keyboard firmly, and get the damn thing done. I think that's how you use a keyboard. You just kind of grab onto it really hard. And this brings me to my first quibble with this challenge. It's designed to help you write a novel, not become a writer. Writing a novel is an outcome-focused objective. Becoming a writer is a habit and identity-focused objective. It's like the difference between training and running a 5K versus being a runner. Writing novels is something that writers do, but just writing a novel may not necessarily be enough to make you a writer. Being a writer is a lifestyle decision. It's a long-term commitment that you're making to work on and improve your craft through time. I personally don't have a gatekeepery set of criteria for who is a writer and who isn't a writer. I think it really comes down to whether you've made that long-term decision and commitment. It's a personal decision and a way that you view your identity personally. If you're working on a novel, even if it's taken you 5 years and it's still not done, but you're still working on it, then you're a writer. It's a decision that you make to commit to finishing a project, not a label that's bestowed upon you by other people. If you started your novel yesterday and you're working on it, then I would argue that you are still a writer. You are a writer because of the goals you've set and the actions that you are taking to achieve those goals. And I think it's somewhat dangerous to conflate setting those sort of long-term goals with completing the sort of challenge that NaNoWriMo promotes. People chase these sort of outcome-focused objectives, believing that this external thing will fix all the problems with their self-doubt and with their motivation and their procrastination. But achieving an outcome like this often doesn't solve those problems. White-knuckling your way through a novel in a month will help you do a lot of writing, and it might be a good first step, but if your goal is to become a writer, then you need to recognize that it's a lifelong commitment. Real skill is built over years and years of practice, not just an all-out burst of effort over the course of one November. If you have trouble committing to writing and you have trouble with your habits and consistency, I don't think that doing a challenge like NaNoWriMo is magically going to fix those problems. You will only be able to build long-term skill and overcome these sort of longer-term problems if you have a sustainable practice. For many people, the 1,600 plus word a day target of NaNoWriMo is not sustainable, especially if you have other commitments in your life like kids, family, job, school, whatever. People write at different speeds, and it often takes time for ideas to coalesce in your mind. Locking yourself into the arbitrary numbers set in a challenge can be damaging to your long-term progress. There's huge potential for disappointment if you fall behind or if life gets in the way. There's this belief in our culture that doing challenges like this or going all in for a short period of time will lead to lasting change. The habits and practices that will create long-term change are the ones that can be sustained long-term. You'll see challenges like this across all different spaces. There's diet challenges and exercise challenges and sleep challenges and screen time challenges. Big, flashy challenges are sexy and exciting. Work that leads to long-term growth is often quite a bit more boring and less flashy, but the benefits are way higher. A longer term plan, like say 6 months or a year to finish a draft where you write at a sustainable pace, allow room for error and days where you don't produce, and build longer term writing habits is, in my view at least, a better way to go. When you get to the end of the 30 days of NaNoWriMo, whether you're successful or not, there's a high probability that you're just going to slip back into your previous ways of operating. You're going to slip back into your previous habits. If you weren't writing consistently before NaNoWriMo, once you get to the end of that challenge, there's a good chance you still won't be writing consistently. There's one element that is strongly emphasized in NaNoWriMo that I think is excellent, and that is the importance of finishing a novel. For novice writers, just getting to a piece that is long enough to be considered a novel is a major accomplishment. When you pass that threshold, writing a novel suddenly moves from being something impossible that you've never done to something that's possible that you have done. It's amazing the change that kind of happens in your mind when something moves from being impossible to something that you've done, and that is incredibly important. But you can achieve the same thing with a slower pace that will fit better with other things in your life. You don't have to write that first novel over the course of a hectic 30 days. You can take 6 months, a year, even 2 years to do it if that fits better for you. I will not discourage anyone from doing NaNoWriMo, whatever you think of the controversies and whatever with the organization. I think that the spirit of the challenge can be beneficial to a lot of writers. You'll notice that I said a lot of writers, not all writers. People are not a monolith, and what's good for one person or a certain group of people may not be good for you or another group of people. Everybody is different, and you have to make your decisions of what you're going to pursue based on your own strengths and abilities, your own habits, your own beliefs, your own thought patterns. Challenges like NaNoWriMo are a net positive to the world and the writing community in general because they get more people writing. They give people a roadmap through the complexity of the process, and they make writing a novel seem achievable. You need to decide for yourself, though, if this kind of challenge is something that will contribute to your long-term growth as a writer. Some people may not care. Some people don't care about being a writer. They just want to sort of tick the box of having written a novel at some point in their life, and that's totally fine. If writing a novel is on your bucket list and NaNoWriMo helps you do that, then that's fantastic. It's a great fit. It's like if you wanted to run a marathon and then once you accomplish that, never run another day in your life, that's totally fine. That's you working towards a specific goal. But as I said at the beginning, writing a novel is a different goal than becoming a writer. You have to decide what it is you want to do and whether a challenge like this fits into your overall goals. Recognize that NaNoWriMo is the first step on a long journey, and depending on your individual needs, it may or not be a step in the right direction. Speaking of steps in the right direction, I hope this video was a step in the right direction of you being informed and entertained. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this video and found the advice in it useful. If you want to see more stuff like this, you can check out all my other writing advice related videos and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.